productivity, winning strategies, and aligning employer-employee goals. If this sounds like something your business could use more of, then you've come to the right place. The Business Mechanic Show with your host, Vaughn Sigmund. Let Vaughn show you how to develop, improve, and jumpstart your business. So now, please welcome the host of The Business Mechanic, Vaughn Sigmund.
Welcome to the Business Mechanic Show. This is your host, Vaughn Sigmund. And then today, we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, how to transform yourself from a boss to a leader. I'm going to talk about some of the signs, some of the downfalls, some of the things you need to watch out for. And once you identify it, then, only then, can you start correcting some of these challenges you face in making that transformation. Let's start like this. As a leader, you don't need to wave your title around like a flag. Everyone gets it. You're the boss. But here's the twist. Every day, you've got to show your team that you're not just a title. You're the person who steps up when things go sideways. You are the person who stays cool under pressure. You're the person who takes responsibility when things go wrong. You're the person who puts the team and the mission first. It's not about proving you're in charge. It's about proving you're the leader that they need. Let that sink in for a sec. Understand it's a bit of a balancing act. However, you must be honest. You must be honest with yourself. And you have to have the willingness to be constantly checking if you're really walking the talk. The mirror test. Look at things not from your perspective, not how you want to envision yourself or what you feel like you must do, but think about how you come across from your team's shoes or peers. How do you come across even from your boss's perspective? Ask yourself, am I the kind of person that they really are going to trust my leadership? True leadership? Am I the one taking the blame? Am I the one taking the responsibility? Am I coming up with the solutions? Or am I just finding ways to avoid the consequences that fall on me? And if you have even a little bit of doubt about this, well, that's what today's podcast is. It's about time to step up your game. You need to own slip-ups. Your own slip-ups, your team slip-ups. And then you can begin working on being the leader that everyone can rely on. And if a leader doesn't stick to these key principles I'm sharing with you today, it's like ignoring the don't walk sign. You're at a busy intersection, that sign's up there, don't walk, but you walk anyway. You're just asking for trouble. You're just asking to get clipped by a car. And now I'm going to talk about getting clipped by that car. Here's all the things that are going to go wrong if you're not following these key principles, transforming yourself from being the boss to being a leader. In very terms, as I always try to put things. First of all, here's how you get clipped. Trust in you goes out the window. Imagine a leader who doesn't own up their mistakes. You may have had one or have one. They won't admit that they're just not very good at what they did, or that they make constant mistakes, or they misdirect. Believe me, when you're that kind of leader, even to a little bit, team members start doubting everything. When they have that doubt, out goes trust too. Trust check out. If you don't have trust in this relationship, it is really a long road to win it back. And when that trust leaves, team spirit takes a dive. If you ever are saying to yourself, man, I just wish my team would step up. Everybody be happy and getting things done. I wouldn't have to tell them everything to do. Well, guess what? You've probably created that. Maybe by not staying cool under pressure, or showing your frustration, or most importantly, showing you care about them, care about opinions, care about their thoughts. In order for them to care, you have to care. Because if they don't believe wholeheartedly that you care about them, about the mission, people lose their drive. And that's created by their boss. Your entire team's vibe suffers. So again, in order for them to care about doing a great job, you got to show that you care about them. Here's something else that goes awry. Decision-making gets really messy. Because very often, if you're just the boss, you're living in the moment. You're living in the day. You're putting out fires all day. That makes you feel powerful. People need me, but leadership is about them not leading you. It's decentralizing your command. And if you're prioritizing for the moment, that's poor leadership. Poor prioritizing leads to bad choices. And often these aren't just oopsies. They have very serious ripple effects. Because if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. If you don't set clear expectations and timelines, then the job will expand to the time allotted. This is what we're talking about. Fred, I need you to take care of this by 1 o'clock today. Now, what have you got on your plate? Let's put that aside. Work on this, get it done, and then we'll get back to that. But I need it by 1 o'clock. You got it, Fred? I'll be back at 1 o'clock. And I'll need this done. And if you have any problems, if there's any doubt you're going to get done by 1 o'clock, please let me know no later than 12 o'clock. That is going to be a challenge. You got it? So what are we agreeing to, Fred? That's how you properly communicate what you need from a team member and what the priority is. But here's how that conversation normally goes. Hey, Fred, you get this done for me today? Okay, thanks. In your mind, you think at 1 o'clock. That's self-inflicted, self-directed. Did you say to Fred? You said today to Fred. But in your list of priorities, you needed it sooner as opposed to later, but you didn't tell Fred that. So if you don't set clear expectations, clear timelines, then the job will expand to the time allotted today, or I need you to get this done. And very often, without clear directions and expectations, your timeline and their timeline are not in the same timeline. Here's one of my favorite sayings. You can't get mad at people for not doing what you did not tell them to do. And when things start going wrong, you need to stop. What did I do wrong? Not what they do wrong. What did I do wrong? Did I tell them what to stop doing and what to start doing? Did I tell them when to have this done? Did I tell them to check in if things weren't going to go right? Did I tell them everything they needed to know to get this done, or to leave it to chance. They're not mind readers, folks. And by the way, neither are you. Decision making, critical thinking skills, that all stems from you and how you communicate. And if you don't do these sort of things, say hello to the revolving door. Because the teams don't trust you, they feel undervalued. The whole team vibe is suffering. If they don't understand what's expected of them, they don't have the tools and materials they need, they leave. And high turnover is very costly. It's very disruptive. And think about the ramifications of that. The time they've got to spend interviewing, the chance that you may not be the best interviewer and selector of people in the world. So you may be replacing what is perceived as a problem person, which was really created by you, with another person. But if you introduce that same new person into the same core leadership, you're going to just end up with the old employee with a different name. It's up to you to make the changes. You'll have less turnover. Your people will be better trained. You won't be constantly under the competency curve, trying to get people up to speed, making your job harder. No, you'll have experienced, happy, trusting, motivated, inspired people working for you. It's up to you. You can't hire those people, you make those people. They all start at zero, whether they go up the scale or down the scale. After day one, it's up to you. And if you're not growing your people, if you're not growing yourself, you're not growing your people. When those two things are in alignment with each other, growth hits a wall. What happens when a leader doesn't focus on the future? When you're only dealing with today's problems? If all you can do is firefight and get through today, you never get the future into mind. You get stagnant. The team is just solving problems. They're not learning. They're not being trained. They're not improving their skills. Everything stagnates, the whole shebang. That's up to you. And when you've got turnover, you got this revolving door, believe me, word spreads. There's so many places for bad views to show up. Word of mouth, from old employee to new employee, or to new employer, to current customers. They talk. New employee to old employee who knows all the things go on and it's a bad environment. They talk. Plus, good talent is looking for good leadership. And if they're looking at reviews on Glassdoor or any of those places where reviews are posted, and this kind of dysfunction is going on with you or within your organization, that bad rep keeps you from hiring good people. Leadership flubs don't stay internal. They get around and they absolutely turn off potential clients, potential partners, any high-level new talent. You'll only be getting the people who take the time to do some research. Is that really the kind of person you want to hire? And then back to the team and trust and all that. Teamwork gets very tricky when you have this dysfunction and lack of leadership going on, this poor communication, this poor support. Every struggling manager has said to me, I just wish my team would work together better. Well, the reason why they're not working better together is you. Because often your poor communication, your lack of support, and it's that you just don't know a better way. We're going to talk about that in a minute. that sours the team dynamics. You're holding the team dynamic back, which leads to the conflicts and stifles the creativity and certainly leads to low levels of collaboration. And collaboration happens is usually gossiping, and that's bad stuff. Not good. And guess what a byproduct of all that is? Stress and burnout. Stress and burnout for you, stress and burnout for your folks. It skyrockets. A leader who can't manage stress and workload is crashing, and you have your limits, which leads to your burnout. You don't understand how this stress and frustration is making you less effective as a leader. Eliminate the frustration. Work on your leadership skills. It's not good for anybody's health, certainly your company's health. And let's think about what your employees are thinking. What do employees think if a boss avoids these solid leadership approaches? Let me give you the scoop on that. Their boss is out of touch. They might see their boss as a website from the 90s. You're just not in tune with modern, effective leadership practices. They may believe that, you know, my manager really doesn't care about me, doesn't care about us. They only care about themselves. May feel that the boss knows everything, so they're really not approachable. And because the boss checks in or knows much about me, ever shows any care about me, they're not concerned about my well-being. Why should I be concerned about theirs? Why should I be concerned with the boss's success when they're not concerned with my success? It's like shouting into the void and hoping someone hears. They're deaf to that because they understand that you're not really leading. You may be managing, but you're not leading. You may be getting things done, but you're not leading. And your employees might view you as a boss as all show and no go because you lack the authentic leadership that your direct reports require. And they may believe you're not trustworthy because a boss who blames problems on others, doesn't take responsibility, you can't trust that person. A boss who doesn't own up to mistakes or take responsibility can seem very untrustworthy. And then the employees are going to start questioning you, question your decisions, question your motives, care less about whether they need to satisfy the requirements you have of them. And when employees feel like that you're like that, you're making their lives harder. You're making your own life much harder because of the stress and the frustration of not getting things done. Because when the boss is not giving clear direction, not giving that support, things harder. Your life can be so much simpler and happier and rewarding. Take responsibility for things. Clearly communicate. Collaborate. Seek their input. Seek their opinions. Do what you say you're going to do. Listen to them and take action. Because if you don't value their input, they're not going to give you the output. You need to be a good listener. Great leaders are great listeners. They ask good questions and they listen. They ask for opinions. They ask for ideas. And they act on some of those, not all of them. And if they're not collaborating, if you're not training them, if you're not feeling, they're not feeling valued, they're not growing, well, it's certainly going to feel like you're not preparing them for the future. You're just static. You're stuck. In today's modern world, employees want to grow. But if you're only in today, you're limited to some of these leadership skills I'm talking about today, you're stuck. And they're going to believe you're just not very good at this. And in the end, employees simply think that you, as their boss, what does that guy do in leadership? What is she doing in leadership? It's harsh judgment, but it's what happens when there's a consistent failure to meet basic expectations. So in a nutshell, without proper leadership skills, you're only going to be a boss, not a leader. And you're going to create all these byproducts I've talked about. And it's only because you know it. We're going to talk about that again in a little bit. Let's talk about some of the things you need to learn and approach. But here's why you're in the spot you're in. And this is why you're likely growing as a leader and avoiding some of the things that deep down you probably know you need to go work on. So why do many managers avoid adopting proper, effective leadership approaches? Comfort zone. You're working in the area that you know and you're comfortable with. Stick to your old ways. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable. It's risky. It's unfamiliar. And it's also bad habits. But it's your habit. If you don't have another habit, it's going to be your habit. Even if you start learning new habits, believe me, under pressure and under stress, that old habit's going to come out and become dominant again. Got to be aware of that. But learning new things is uncomfortable. Embrace that. It's okay. You're making mistakes. I'm telling you to embrace those mistakes. You may fear vulnerability because believe me, admitting mistakes, showing that you care and that you have a heart sometimes makes you feel a little exposed. I'm losing some of my power here. Some managers will worry that makes them look weak. No, it's just the opposite. It makes you look strong. It's counter to what your instincts are telling you. It makes you feel strong when you're vulnerable. When you admit your mistakes, you admit you don't know something. You admit that you're not the right person for that. And very often, managers trying to transform themselves to be a better leader have a misunderstanding of leadership. Because many managers believe that leadership is authority and control, and the more the better. And they just don't realize that effective leadership is decentralized. It's about giving up control. It's what you do, like micromanagement, overcrowding your team, making things dysfunction unnecessary. And usually that comes from too short-term focus. I just want to get through today. If that's usually why someone struggles with getting improvement for tomorrow in their leadership skills, are, when am I going to have time for that? I've got to get stuff done today. Because you're focused on immediate results, hitting targets. And usually hitting those targets means I just need to assert my authority. And you're missing the big picture. And the big picture is building a strong, cohesive team that's empowered, decentralized. And you may not have access to training. You may not be aware. I mean, this literally is the hole in every underperforming manager's game. They're just not aware that you don't know what you know, not aware of these leadership principles, much less what to do about it because you haven't had the training. And you don't realize that there's likely a better way. And you don't realize that the reasons why employees don't do what you want them to do is your fault, not their fault. Let that sink in. When things don't go well, it's your fault, not their fault. And that's a hard one to swallow. And that's what keeps many people from committing and adapting to change. Maybe your overconfidence. You may have a boss that's feeding this leadership skill because they too are a command and control individual. You just created this attitude. You've got it all figured out. You are the best there was at what they do. What do I need to change for? My boss is telling me what a great job I'm doing all the time because I'm a hard ass. The boss is fueling this, or the boss isn't giving them any feedback. No news is news. Nobody's telling me I'm doing wrong. I must be doing great. It's fueling all this. And if you got a boss that is either not giving you constructive feedback or is telling you your command and control is the way to go, that's the weak leading the weak, and you're doomed. You're just going to be average to underperforming at best. Another thing that keeps people from making advancement in leadership is avoiding tough conversations. Your innate internal avoidance of conversations. You need to have tough conversations with yourself. And because you're so closed off to others, because of your fear of being weak, you're just not getting the input you need to make the changes. You're not getting honest, sometimes tough feedback. And let me tell you, that was critical to my growth as a leader. I didn't like hearing it, but I listened to it and I did something about it. It's always hard. Your adaptation to discomfort. You need it. You need this feedback. Because if you're like many managers out there that when they have somebody brave enough to give them some constructive feedback, they just tolerate the feedback. They don't do anything with it. It's other years, it's like, no, 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 I'm not hearing you. And they do nothing about it. Very common. So in essence, avoiding leadership approaches that I've been talking about is generally, while you're not making the changes, you want to stay comfortable. There's some fear of change, some misunderstanding of what effective leadership looks like, or you don't. So let me help you with the first step of this. If this message is ringing a bell with you, you can relate to some of these byproducts that I've talked about today, the outcomes, these frustrations that I've shared with you today. Pick one of the items that I've talked about: communication, trust, relationships, collaboration. Pick one of it. Certainly, if you don't have this one, start with this one. Own it. Take responsibility. When things go wrong, understand it's your fault. When they're not doing job, it's not their fault, it's your fault. But whatever it is, pick one and stick with that one. That's how you start learning and start working on it. Go get the training, the coaching, find the resources that's going to strengthen your leadership game. Maybe you want to work on trust. Or maybe you want to start showing peers you've got their back. Or that you're a true problem solver. Take charge of it. Fix what needs fixing and keep tweaking it one thing at a time. Remember, it's not about flexing your authority, flexing your muscles every chance you get. It's about becoming a leader who doesn't want to just talk the talk, but walk the talk. So keep working on yourself. Leadership isn't a destination, it's a journey. And embrace the fact that it's working on yourself. And you need to always be curious, be willing to learn, and looking for better ways to do it. But you have to be open to feedback. You have to be willing to go read up on things. You need to attend workshops, whatever it takes. The best leaders are always learning. They're always looking for resources that they can get learnings from. So go get some training, get some coaching, take some courses, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts. You're listening to this for a reason, and thank you for doing so. Because you're working on your journey. But don't overwhelm yourself with a bunch of new leadership skills. Work on one. Pick one thing you're going to work on. Maybe it's being more approachable. Maybe it's improving your communication. Maybe it's being a better delegator. Whatever it is, commit to it. Commit to it and work on it. And then remember, it takes practice, but it takes perfect practice. I can't read it, go do it properly tomorrow. I have to read it, get other resource, get another resource, understand what perfect practice looks like, and go practice it perfectly. And the more perfect practice you place on it, the faster and better you will adapt. The better and faster you will adopt these new skills. And once you've got that down, once it feels natural, it's being effective, you're seeing the improved outcomes, then pick something else. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your team. And it's going to take whatever time it takes, so don't give up. Try getting feedback. Try getting 360 feedback. 360 feedback. Reach out to me if you want a program that provides that for you. More than happy to help you out with that. Yes, there's sometimes you got to just be the boss, but you really want to be a leader because it makes life easier for you. Always remembering, no matter what business you're in the people business. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of the Business Mechanic Show. If today's content resonates with you, then you're going to love what we have to offer. For those of you who are ready to take your business or personal career to the next level, we have an array of training and coaching services tailored just for you. From performance coaching designed to enhance your potential, to executive coaching that guides leaders to steer their ships towards greater success. Are you in sales management or looking to fortify your leadership acumen? Dive into our sales management training and coaching. Not only will it sharpen your strategies, but it will also provide you an ROI that's undeniable. Remember, the best investment you can make is in yourself and your team. For those seeking flexible learning options, we're excited to share our online and in-person management leadership classes. These aren't just your typical courses. They are meticulously crafted, ensuring that they align with your unique needs and aspirations. And the best part, prices start at just $47 per month, making top-tier coaching and training accessible for everyone. Your growth, both personally and professionally, can have a ripple effect, the one I call the transformational triangle of change. The skills you learn, the perspectives you gain, and the efficiencies you create can translate into increased revenues, more cohesive teams, and an enriched company culture. So why wait? The potential ROI on this investment isn't just in dollars, it's in the progressive future you're carving out for yourself and your organization. Thanks once again for tuning in. And remember, every business needs a tune-up every now and then. Let the Business Mechanic Show be your guide. Check out our website, rdltraining.com, to discover more details on our programs and coaches. We have a link in the show notes to guide you there. Until next time, we're out of here.